They say some moments haunt you forever, lingering like silent shadows, always present. It's been 2 years since that day. 2 years since everything changed. It was supposed to be simple. A trip to the beach with my son Ethan. My husband Gabriel couldn't come. Work always came first, and I was used to that, used to the loneliness. But that day didn't feel normal, not then, and not now that we spread out our towels. The sun warm, perhaps too warm. I lay down on the sand, feeling free. If only for a moment. Ethan helped me with the sunscreen when I asked. At first, it was natural, without any hidden intentions, but something in the air shifted. A fleeting instant that left a mark on me. An echo of something I didn't want to name. Gabriel and I had been married for over 15 years. To the world, we were the perfect couple. A beautiful home, wonderful kids, a stable life. But the cracks are only visible from within the walls. Gabriel's work had become his world, leaving ours in the background. Our conversations grew scarce, reduced to bills and responsibilities. I felt invisible, a shadow in my own home. Ethan, at 16, was already taller than me. He had his father's eyes but with a softer expression. When I told him we were going to the beach alone, he simply nodded, unsurprised. Maybe he, too, was used to Gabriel's absence. The drive was quiet. I watched him as he looked out the window, headphones on. I thought about how quickly he was growing up, how time was slipping away. I thought about the days when Gabriel and I used to laugh, go out without a plan, share conspiratorial glances. Those moments seemed to belong to another life. We arrived and set up near the water. The salty breeze comforted me. I tried to start a conversation with Ethan, but his responses were brief. Still, he smiled at me. I lay down on the towel, closed my eyes, and for a moment, allowed myself to forget everything. But something inside me broke that day. A feeling I couldn't identify clearly, an unease that didn't disappear when we returned home. I told myself I was just tired, that it was all in my imagination. I tried to continue with my routine, preparing dinner, asking about school, folding laundry late into the night. But the memory of that day at the beach lingered in my mind. Gabriel came home late, as usual, his tie loose, and his face tired. He kissed my cheek out of habit, without really seeing me. "Long day," he murmured, and before I could respond, he had already disappeared into the living room. I watched him walk away, and once again, felt that emptiness. The weeks passed, but the feeling didn't fade. Something had changed in Ethan too. He didn't avoid my gaze, but it wasn't the same as before. I found myself questioning things I had never thought about, searching for explanations, but none satisfied me. One day I asked him, "Do you want to go back to the beach?" I'm not sure why I did it. Maybe I was looking for answers, or maybe I just needed to feel that everything was okay. The drive was silent, different from the first time. This time, Ethan didn't wear headphones. He just looked out the window with a thoughtful expression. The beach was almost deserted. We spread out our towels as before, but this time, I didn't ask for help with the sunscreen. Instead, I closed my eyes and tried to focus on the sound of the waves. But even with my eyes closed, I could feel the tension in the air, a tension I didn't fully understand but knew was there. The real breaking point came later. Something in the atmosphere grew heavier, as if the air itself was charged with something I couldn't see, but could feel. I tried to ignore it, to act normally, but deep down I knew something was wrong, something I didn't want to face. From that day on, nothing felt the same. I'm not sure exactly when everything changed, but I know things will never be the same again. There are secrets hidden within the walls of a home, shadows that seep through the cracks, and once you see them, you can't make them disappear. The days continued as if nothing had changed, but deep down, I knew everything was different. Each morning, I woke up feeling the weight of a secret I thought was impossible to bear. Gabriel continued his usual routines, working late, returning home with the same tiredness in his eyes, the same quick kiss on the cheek that had lost its meaning over time. Isa played in a living room, laughing, unaware that her family was teetering on an invisible edge. Ethan, on the other hand, had become quieter, not distant, not cold, just different. I caught him looking at me with expressions I couldn't decipher, as if he was searching for answers in my face. We didn't talk about what had happened, but the tension between us had become a persistent shadow. I tried to act normally, to convince myself that everything could go back to the way it was. But with each passing day, it became more evident that we had entered a territory from which it was difficult to return. One night, while preparing dinner, I felt his presence behind me. He didn't say anything, just stood there waiting. The sound of the knife against the cutting board was the only thing breaking the silence. I forced myself to continue with what I was doing, but my breathing was irregular, my pulse racing. Finally, I turned my head, and our gazes met. "Mon?" Ethan said in a low, hesitant voice. "Yes, Ethan," I replied, struggling to stay firm. He opened his mouth but stopped, seeming to debate with himself, caught between what he wanted to say and what he knew he should keep silent. Finally, he shook his head and walked away, leaving me with my heart pounding in my ears. That night, as Gabriel slept beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. I thought about my family, about the image of perfection everyone believed they saw from the outside. I thought about the weight of secrets, about how they can cling to your skin until they become a part of you. But most of all, I thought about how much longer I could sustain this facade before everything crumbled. Fate is relentless, and I knew that, sooner or later, the truth would find its way out. The days passed with a strange normality. The family routine continued. Mornings with the bustle of breakfast, afternoons in the park with Isa, nights when Gabriel came home late, and I pretended not to notice his lack of interest. But beneath that apparent calm, something was growing inside me, a tension I couldn't ignore. Ethan felt it too. I saw it in his gaze when our eyes met, in the way his presence seemed to fill every space with an invisible weight. We didn't talk about what had happened, but it was there, floating between us, waiting for the moment to explode.